What's up? Welcome to Saturday's Warrior. We're doing our reaction to the BYU Oklahoma game. And if anybody said that they predicted that this is how the game was going to play out, I think they're a liar because this one was wild, had all sorts of twists and turns and unexpected action. Although ultimately it ended the way most of us thought it would with the Oklahoma win at BYU. Now, before we get into anything else, I'm curious. Please let me know in the comments, is it worse to see your team blown out 3 weeks in a row or to have a surprisingly very competitive game against a top 15 team with playoff aspirations at home and then lose in such painful fashion due to basically horrendous turnovers? So, what's been more painful, watching the previous three losses that are blowouts, or watching this one loss where BYU seemingly had control of the game and lost it? Let me know that in the comments. But also, while you're down there, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really does help us a lot. Anyway, getting back to our reaction. So, actually, because this was a day game, I'm a big advocate of the night games. They're late. I'm really tired the next day, but uh, I can watch the whole game, no interruptions. Whereas today, I had kids at a birthday party for the first half and had very spotty connection, so I missed a lot of the first half. Caught some of the highlights and was able to watch that, but. I was obviously probably as shocked as anybody to see that the score was tied at halftime, and very anxious to go back and watch that and see exactly how all that played out. But it looked like a lot of good plays, and definitely getting the running game going and established, and that was apparent still in the second half with Aiden Robbins just running all over everybody. And it seems like the offensive line kind of figured some things out. The commentators were saying that they simplified the offensive line. And if so, that's great. I'm also wondering, like, what took so long to make some of these adjustments. Although this also seems to be a culmination of getting a little bit more consistency in the positions over the last few weeks. I don't know, but for whatever reason, it worked. It could just be the matchup with Oklahoma. Some teams have had success running on Oklahoma, so maybe it's a combination. But you gotta love what we're seeing from Aiden Robbins, especially on Senior Day. It's a shame that we don't get him for another year. That we didn't, we missed out on having him for so much of the year, and that when we did have him, we really couldn't run block at all. So that was awesome to see that, and great to see Isaac Rex get another touchdown there on Senior Day. But man, what a painful loss. It was great to see BYU with, it seemed like they had all the momentum in the second half. I mean, even after that crazy pick six, which I know everybody's gonna talk about that, and I saw a lot of reactions um, on Twitter. A lot of people calling A Rod out for that, although I think that was a Retzlaff decision, and to do that, and some people call him to pull Retzlaff, and it is a bad mistake. I'd rather make the learn and grow this year and make those mistakes than hopefully learn from that and improve and come out more savvy next year. But yeah, that one was killer. I love seeing his hustle going down there trying to make the stop, ultimately still scoring a touchdown. But man, you feel like that just would take the air out of BYU after holding Oklahoma, knowing that their starting quarterback is out once again playing Oklahoma, and that they've got a backup in, even as highly recruited as he is, still backup, and not planning like the other backups that we've played have prepared throughout the week. He was not planning on Arnold was not planning on going in this game, and that's when you think you can really strike, is maybe they're just not as prepared to go into that game. But we stop them, and then BYU goes down the field, seemingly about to score a touchdown and pull ahead. We do the pick six, and then BYU gets it, and we go down the field again. So it seemed like BYU could really control the game. So it's unfortunate, another turnover, which led to almost immediate points, which in some ways was a good thing because based on their field position, they're probably gonna score anyway. That at least they scored with more time on the clock, but ultimately not enough time and BYU falls short. So those that I mean, it's stupid and contrived to say like yes, we know that turnovers can swing the game and kill the game, but these ones felt very timely and very impactful. Not all turnovers are created equal, and these ones were definitely some of the worst kinds of turnovers that you can have, and definitely um, you know, swung that game. And that's not to take away from what Oklahoma was doing, because at the end of the game, they were running well too. They talked about how BYU was just wearing down Oklahoma. I don't know where a lot of that went. I would have liked to seen a little bit more. But so they were running, and BYU couldn't slow them down. So that's not to take away from Oklahoma. And Arnold looked great. You know, he had that shot at the end zone. And I think that's a little bit of lack of maybe preparation for going into that game. I assume, most of the time he would connect on that pass that really could have turned into a touchdown there. But um, let's see. I was half doing yard work with kids and half watching parts of the end of the game, so that I didn't get divorced. You know, I still had things to do, and so I missed. I was kind of watching the replay on that last potential first down where it looked like he got tackled. It looked like he may not have caught it. I saw a couple angles and as I was watching um, and depending on the angle, I kind of changed my mind a little bit. So let me know in the comments if you think that was the right call or the wrong call. Either way, it really sucks, and just wish BYU hadn't been in that position anyway. Last thought, just about Aiden Robinson. So I thought he looked fantastic, and he had holes, and he's a bruiser. You know, it's hard to bring him down. I saw people slip off of him, and he just bulldozed into people. But one thing is he didn't really seem to and some of it is maybe how he's coached up, and like I said, he's a big guy and just bulldoze into some people, but kind of seems like there may have been chances on a lot of these runs for him to maybe make one little move near the end and potentially spring loose for more yards or maybe even a touchdown. I mean, it was usually the last guy, probably safety, up there kind of making that play on him to make those tackles. So would have liked to have seen maybe a little bit more, and then instead of getting a huge gain, really taking it and swinging that. So either way, lots of big chunk yard plays off of the run, which is fantastic and great to see. And at the end of the day, I guess you could chalk this up to a moral victory. Like, hey, we went and played, toe to toe with a really good Oklahoma team, and it feels like BYU, if anything, kind of lost that game. They definitely lost, but it feels like they lost it as opposed to Oklahoma winning it. It feels like the team gave up, with those turnovers, a real chance to win that game. So that that really hurts. We'll see how that impacts BYU next week if they can say, "Hey, look, build confidence and build off of that," or if maybe it raises flags for Oklahoma State. Their guard maybe isn't down. Maybe it's the final game of the season and they're still jockeying for position to get into that championship game. So one thing we can hope is, however all the games play out today, that Oklahoma State does not. That somehow they get eliminated from contention from that game. Losing to Houston would be a good start, and last I saw, Houston was up. So, and maybe they go in a little deflated after a couple losses to UCF and Houston, or maybe that just motivates them more. I do think no matter what, we're going to see a motivated Oklahoma State team next week, but that's all I can hope for, is that for however the scenario plays out, maybe the team kind of checks out a little bit and BYU comes in with a little chip on their shoulders, saying, "Hey, we left a little something on the field today," and maybe they get that final win. But I think we'll talk about it a little bit more this next week. BYU's not completely, even if they lose next week, completely out of contention for a potential bowl game, with so many teams still not reaching that 6 game win benchmark to be bowl eligible. And I would have to think that BYU would be in contention amongst a lot of the 5 and 7 teams for getting a bowl game. So Anyway, we'll talk more about that next week. Let me know your thoughts, disappointments, everything on the game. What was different? What made BYU so much better this week? Why were things working when they hadn't in the past? Please let me know in the comments. Like the video, subscribe, and follow us. Check us out next week as we make we do our power rankings and then make our picks for the following week. And we'll see you next time. As always, go Cougs.